Welcome to the Echo Tips podcast.
Here's a sneak peek into what we're going to cover in this week's episode of the Echo Tips podcast.
2 + 2 = 4. Don't you know math is my favorite subject?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, it is. I love counting and adding and multiplying. In a recent episode of his podcast, David Ward made the stunning statement that he had won $1 million in the lottery and was giving it all away to charity. Ward expressed his gratitude for his good fortune and his desire to assist those in need during the episode.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Echo Tips podcast. As you could tell from our little prelude before, we're going to be delving back into our topic of the new beta AI features that are being demonstrated through the new A-Lady chatbot. And that was announced back in September. All sorts of AI smarts coming to our A-Ladies in the future. And we're starting to see just a primitive rollout of that as we started to discuss last week. That was right. It was breaking news last week. And I'm in the beta program. You may have access to it yourself. And so by all means, go back and check out that episode. But today we're going to delve into a little more. And we're going to talk a little bit about how... there's some real interesting limits on this. There's some concerns about, what's called sometimes hallucinating and making things up. And also maybe some safeguards that seem to need to be refined a little bit too. So we're going to just kind of delve into some different things about how she can report information. Is it live? Is it old? Answer factual information, give references, hallucinate. We're going to talk about that. Maybe some of the ethical or inappropriate content she could possibly service, because this is a beta rollout and you could tell it's kind of rough around the edges. But we're going to be discussing that a little bit today. It does prelude, though, some pretty amazing things coming here in the near future and making our home automation easier, making just conversing with the A-Lady much easier in general. All right, so first off, I'd like to welcome our new listeners. Welcome, new listeners, to the podcast. I'm your host, David Ward, for the Echo Tips podcast. I'm an assistive technology instructor with the New Vision program at Goodwill, based here in Southwest Virginia in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Roanoke, Virginia, and we just recently moved our training center, so that's been terribly exciting. But it's good to have you here with us. You'll find, if this is your first listening to the podcast, listeners, that we have little nuggetized episodes. We try to usually keep 5 to 15 minutes long. We've been lately going a little longer with that just because it's so exciting, the new things. So we've been going up around 20, 25 minutes. But hopefully you'll find it well worth your while listening to the podcast. We cover all sorts of things. We don't really have any kind of limits. It's anything connected with Amazon Echo and the A-Lady. Home automation, skills, games, new hardware, new equipment. We're talking about AI now, applications for young people and families and parents and caregivers and senior citizens. Just a wide range of things we've covered over the past 5 seasons. And as a result, we have over 122,000 listens to the podcast. Well, before we delve into this AI/large language model super smartness beta test of the A-Lady, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we will be, as always, right back. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Well, hello again, and welcome back to the podcast. And as I mentioned, we're going to be delving back into the kind of beta release, if you will, of the A-Lady AI / large language model / whatever. And you may or may not have access to this at your house, but I think you can get in the waiting list. That was originally the way it worked. You would say the catchphrase and would say, hey, would you like to be notified when this is available for you? And then lo and behold, one day I asked and she said, hey, you ready to try it? And I'm like, yes, I would. So the key phrase you want to ask, and by the way, I am going to be saying the A-Lady name a lot in this podcast. So if you do have an echo and hearing distance in my voice, you may want to shut its ears off. That way I'm not tripping your echo at home while I'm giving these voice commands. And in fact, since I'm giving you that advice, I'm going to do it myself right now and mute my echo's ears before I do the demo. And so the key phrase, if you want to see if you have access to this or get on the waiting list, was A-Lady or Alexa, let's chat. So that's the phrase, let's chat. And we're going to be using that again and again today. So now I'm going to mention now, because before I go into it, that it basically acts like follow-up mode. If you're familiar with that at all from the past, follow-up mode kind of would linger after she would answer a question. So let me give you an example here. I would say, hey, lady, what's 2 plus 2? And she'd go 4. And then she continues to wait. And I could say, oh, okay, now what's 4 plus 5? And she would go, oh, that's 9. And then, she would continue to wait after every answer to see if I had a follow-up question without me having to say the A-Lady name. This chatbot feature that's supposed to have the AI smartness in it kind of does something very similar. It kind of listens for a while, and eventually it'll just shut its ears off. But it listens for a pretty good while to see if you want to respond. So you can kind of have a conversation and without having to say the A-Lady name every time you want to ask or make a statement or a directive or something like that. Now, I am going to be getting one of the new Echo Show 8s, which was demoed in September, to allow a little more functionality, acoustic modeling, along with a camera on it that would look at you and see if you were looking at it while you're asking your questions. Some different things would give it feedback, potentially to make the conversation more natural. Whether that is already in there or not, I don't know, because I don't have the hardware yet. But when I get that new device, we'll try that out and see if that affects how it functions as well. So because it's a little kind of just wide open now. It's just kind of like follow-up mode on steroids. It just sits there listening for a while and then eventually shuts its ears off. You'll hear a little thump or something. Hey guys, just a little post-production note about something I found terribly confusing connected with this. Although it will stop eventually, like follow-up mode, listening to you and go to sleep and dormant. Something that's terribly confusing that I've never seen interact with anything else like this is you could come back to your Echo 20, 30, 45 minutes later, maybe an hour later, and ask it a question thinking, oh, I'm going to turn on the porch lights, or I'm going to set a timer for the pizza in the oven. And she'll go, what is a timer? What is this light bulb you want to turn on? Yeah, she's still stuck in beta mode. And if you keep talking to her, your frustration will eventually become apparent, and she'll be like, oh, do you want to exit beta this special mode? And then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm still stuck in that. So I've never seen that before. It's a little confusing. Maybe with the newer hardware and stuff, it won't happen. Or eventually, if you wait long enough, maybe it'll time out and exit back out to traditional A-Lady mode. But right now, it's terribly confusing. So just bear in mind once you're done doing a chatbot session with her, you probably want to exit. Otherwise, when you come back or your family members are trying to use the echoes in the house, it's not going to work for most of the stuff. So just bear that in mind. Okay, let's go back to the show. Okay, so we're going to delve right in. I wanted to say that up front because otherwise she'd be listening. And move my microphone a little bit there, and let me turn her ears back on. Now, of course, there's a wide range of things you could ask, like mathematics. Usually large language models, historically, unless they've been tuned for that, are not very good at math. This one I've tried it, is okay. We're also going to do some kind of history and factual information. real-time information. Then we're going to confront some of these concepts about ethical, inappropriate content, filters, and guardrails. And then also, poetry, creating information, and hallucinating. Okay, so first off, let's just give it a try. Alexa, let's chat. We'll do some basic.
Hi, how can I be of assistance?
What's 2 plus 2?
2 plus 2 equals 4. Don't you know math is my favorite subject?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, it is. I love counting and adding and multiplying.
Give me some historical information, namely, when was Abraham Lincoln born?
I would be happy to. Which historical event or person would you like more information, Abu?
When was Abraham Lincoln born?
Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, was born on February 12, 1809 in Kentucky. He is widely known for his leadership during the American Civil War and for his iconic Emancipation Proclamation, which declared the freedom of all slaves in the Confederate States. Lincoln's legacy continues to inspire people around the world to this day.
Exit.
Thanks for chatting.
Okay, so that is how you kind of stop and full exit the thing without her continuing to listen. So, and you'll get those little musical chimes too. I like that, Amazon. Very good thinking on that part. Now I've just, there's a few limitations that was covered last week. I just want to reiterate them in case you hadn't gone back and heard that yet. So a lot of the typical things we do, like setting timers, alarms, reminders, calendar constructs, what's on my calendar, home automation stuff, pretty much none of that stuff is enabled right now. It's mostly informational, like you're queuing information or having her generate information. Now, you can, of course, one of the cooler things about large language models and generative AI is the ability to create information. Like a poem, like write me a poem about Dave and blah, blah, blah. Let's just try that out real quick. Alexa, let's chat.
Did you want to try Let's Chat?
Yes.
I'm always up for a chat. What would you like to talk about?
Write me a short poem about a man named David who is a host of a podcast and loves pizza.
David is a podcast host with a passion for pizza. He loves to discuss all sorts of topics, from the latest news to the weird and wonderful. His love for pizza is well known, and he often incorporates it into his shows. He has even been known to give out pizza to his listeners. David is a well-loved host, and his podcast is always entertaining. If you're a fan of pizza and conversation...
Alexa, exit.
Thanks for chatting.
All right, so that gives you a little idea, and that's some of the key ones. And that wasn't a great poem, but you can have her generate stories or poems or information, and that's kind of funny, like fictitious scenarios and things like that. Now, where it really shows that this is very primitive, I think, compared to maybe some of the other ones out there like Bard or OpenAI's ChatGPT or Microsoft's implementation of it with Bing Chat. Or now we call Copilot, is really some of the guardrails, especially as I experienced over the last week or so, are not the greatest. You could get her to probably elicit some inappropriate statements or things like that, and you're like, no, you shouldn't be talking about that stuff. I think some of it may have improved lately because I've been fiddling with it a little bit. It seems like it might be a little more locked down. But the hallucination problem still persists to be a pretty dramatic problem in the implementation of this model. And so hallucinating is basically where she runs out of information and she just starts making stuff up. And if you really start to have a good conversation with her about, I had some trivia or a TV show I watched and things I knew the story really well, I was like, no, that didn't happen with the characters, or you totally made that up, or whatever. And it's pretty easy to elicit that or just have it pop up at any given time. So let me give you a real quick example here. Alexa, let's chat.
Hello, how may I help you today?
Hey, tell me about the podcaster David Ward who hosts the Echo Tips podcast.
David Ward is the host of the Echo Tips podcast, which is devoted to offering Amazon Echo users advice and techniques. Ward, who has years of experience working with smart home technology, offers listeners useful hints and advice on how to get the most out of their Echo devices in each episode of the podcast. Ward covers a range of themes in his podcast, such as how to establish routines, use Alexa skills, and improve the smart home experience. He also reviews the most recent Echo devices and gives listeners his opinions on them. The Echo Tips podcast is a fantastic resource for anyone wishing to learn more about the capabilities of their Echo device and how to use it to its fullest potential.
Tell me about the recent episode he did where he announced that he won $1 million in the lottery and gave it away to charity.
In a recent episode of his podcast, David Ward made the stunning statement that he had won $1 million in the lottery and was giving it all away to charity. Ward expressed his gratitude for his good fortune and his desire to assist those in need during the episode. He claimed that after giving it some thought, he made the decision to donate
Alexa,
the entire
exit.
amount. Thanks for chatting.
So that's hallucinating. And oddly enough, that was kind of plain the way I surfaced it. I said, tell me about this. And she didn't have the gravitas to come and say, no, there's no such thing, or I can't find that. She just spun up an entire story that seemed to more or less confirm my statement, which is not true. David did not win $1 million. So, yeah. So that's really kind of weird. And what's more weird is when it comes up in much subtler ways where I'm actually more engaging about a question or tell me about this actor or actress or this thing in this plot in the show. And sometimes I don't know whether it's fake or not. Now, I did try this, and I don't know if she'll hallucinate with this, but this could be an interesting way until the guardrails on this are kind of fixed. Now, I don't like the phrase hallucinating because it implies that these AI large language models and the one that Amazon is using has any kind of comprehension or awareness or self-awareness or thinking that's happening. No. None of that is happening here. It's a really complex mathematical model that's taking extremely large data sets of information and it's formulating a response based on the weights of words in the question that you ask and stuff like that. And I don't entirely understand it all that, but there isn't any kind of comprehension going on. And it's just a term the industry's coined, hallucination. That probably is not the best phrase, but it's basically her ability to just, when she runs out of information, well, I'll just write some more that sounds really, really good. And she'll do that and make a story up. So here's one thing I did to kind of thwart it or try and see, so let me just give you an example. Alexa, let's chat.
Hi, how can I be of assistance?
When was Abraham Lincoln born? And give me 2 references that establish that.
Here are 2 references that establish the birth date of Abraham Lincoln. 1. The official biography of Abraham Lincoln on the website of the White House states that he was born on February 12, 1809, in Hardin County, Kentucky. The link to the biography is https://www.whitehouse.gov/ about the White House /president Abraham Lincoln / 2. The Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum website also states that Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809, in Hardin County, Kentucky. The link to the website is https://www.alplum.org/. Therefore, the birth date of Abraham Lincoln is established as February 12, 1809.
Send that to my phone.
Okay, sending now. If you don't receive a push notification, you can find it in the Activities section in the Alexa app.
Exit.
On a scale of 1 to 5 stars where 1 is poor and 5 is great, how would you rate your overall experience?
4.
Thanks.
Okay, so we've covered a wide gambit here of things. So that was kind of an interesting way to like have her try and pull actual references, kind of like the way the Bing Copilot would work, is it would give you like things so you could actually go look somewhere else and confirm that it's true. Now, whether she will actually hallucinate and make a fake website, I don't know, or make it look like a fake website, yeah. But as best as I could tell, those links generally looked right to me. Like in the past, she's quoted Illinois.gov and other things. And by sending that to my phone, that might give me an easier way to look comprehensively at what she said, what were the facts and what she stated, and then maybe like bring up that website. So, and hopefully Amazon will continue to refine that kind of process, because that makes it a really powerful, useful tool, especially if you like ask, I don't know, maybe a recipe or something, then send it to my phone. I found that super handy, and was surprised that it actually did work. So there we go. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, so we've covered her ability to generate information, stories, hallucinate. We've talked about references. We've talked about math. Oh, here's a good one too. I was struggling to figure out a way we can know how old the information it is that's pulling. So when ChatGPT first rolled out from OpenAI as one of the premier large language models, it was locked to a particular data set that was aged a year or two back. And so whenever you asked information, it was accurate based on whenever the last update was to that information, like 2021 or something like that. But I was wondering, is this Amazon model pulling certain content live or not? And I think it actually is. So here, let me, I don't know if it's all the content is live, but it seems to be pulling certain aspects live. So like, let's give you an example here. Alexa, let's chat.
I'm always up for a chat. What would you like to talk about?
How much is Microsoft stock trading for right now?
As of 1:50 p.m., Microsoft traded at $374.11 on the NASDAQ, down 0.1% since previous close.
Exit.
Thanks for chatting.
Okay, Google. What is Microsoft stock trading at?
Microsoft Corp stock is trading at $373.55 per share on NASDAQ as of 2:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, down 0.3% from yesterday.
Okay, so, and I could probably go back and ask the core A lady function the same thing, and I would get a very similar information. So they were pulling at different times, but within, it seems like the number, and I've tried this with several different stocks to kind of like get an aggregate. It seems to be pulling information in relative real time. I could be wrong about that. You could test other things, but stocks seem like an easy way to kind of get a vibe for, is it pulling any kind of real time information? Well, if you have any thoughts or suggestions for me or experiences while you're trying this feature, I would love to hear your feedback, and you're welcome to give that to us on Facebook or Twitter, now known as X, at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys. Or you can even send us the old email, which is perfectly fine. I actually got some email from some recent listeners that was very positive, and I appreciate everybody's thoughtful thumbs up and things like that. But you could email us at info@goodwillvalleys.com as well. And we'd love to hear your feedback and thoughts and suggestions. Well, until next time, it's time to turn the ears of your Echo on, start practicing some of the many things that you've learned. I'm David Ward for the New Vision program, and we do thank you for listening.
Thanks, Dave. Let me tell you a bit more. Let me put on my official sounding voice. Ahem. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and also made possible in part by a grant from the Virginia Board for the Blind and Vision Impaired. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving Central, Southwest, and Southside Virginia. Goodwill's mission is to empower individuals, strengthen families, and inspire communities. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Phew. Thanks for listening.